We're in Rotterdam. We're at the proud office of Mangrove. But after the entrance, it looks really cool here. This is what I imagine Mangrove would be. Originally, they could stay here for 3 years, but now it's more indefinitely. Mangrove is one of the interesting creative web agencies of the Netherlands, and Mike Brady is the managing director. And I'm going to ask him how he's developing the personnel and how he's using talent management in that mix. Mike, you came from the States, became managing director, and how did you get involved with this talent management?
Well, the talent management was in place here at Mangrove before I got here, but it was in line with stuff that I've done in the past, which was finding out what people's motivations are, what their talents are, and then basically using that to hire for strength.
Now, and I really love this museum, especially the Psion. That is cool stuff. And things with a keyboard. So what has your experience has been? You finished today analyzing every member of personnel here. So what has your experience been using this method?
The method's excellent, actually, because what it allows you to do when you can analyze the staff for their strengths is you can determine whether that staff person fits into your overall system. So it's perfect for somebody like myself or Mangrove, who has a very specific system of how to organize a complex environment like a digital agency.
Yeah. Simple tools, the lab. And what is a creative agency without a bar? How does it work? Is it a questionnaire, or is there what's the method involved?
There's questionnaires involved, there's also peer review involved, and then there's interviewing.
Okay. So after now reviewing all the staff, what is now the conclusion? Do you really need to reorganize the staff completely, put people on other jobs, hire differently, or what are your first findings?
Like at other agencies I've been at, what I found here using TMA is that some people are perfectly suited for the role that they're in. Other people are not as perfectly suited but can develop into that role nicely given enough attention and time and training. And then some people are actually valuable members of the agency but not in the right role, and so we can find the right role for them and unleash their talents. Yeah.
And is that now different than other methods? Because I can imagine that lots of different HR methods come to the same conclusion. What is different about this TMA, this talent management way of doing it?
I can't personally speak to it because I haven't used a variety of them. I've only used a couple. What I can tell you with the ones that I have used is that this one has got a level of detail that allows you to get into the nuances that are really where the power lies in this. So it's not a blunt instrument. It's actually a really refined precision tool. Yeah, so if you compare Myers-Briggs, a 3x3 matrix or 4x4 compared to this with 22 variables, I saw 22 dimension, it's much more detailed. Yeah, and gives you the insight that you really need to help. You know, fundamentally what this is about is developing the agency and developing the talent within the agency. So it gives you the tools to do that. The other ones that you mentioned are good, and they're they're better than nothing, but this one really is a level above.
Relaxing is important, and the table tennis table is the most powerful interaction. Okay. So you've worked at different companies, not technical companies, but also more otherwise. Is this method specially for technical companies with fast-moving markets, or is it more broadly applicable?
I think it's definitely broadly applicable. I think if I was to run any company, I would use a tool like this, or this tool actually. And but I would say for a digital agency or an environment like this, it's especially needed because what you're talking about is an environment where you're dealing with account managers, project managers, salespeople, technical people, UX designers, visual designers, QA. And when you're dealing with that many disciplines and handing off projects and through that chain, it's a pretty complex environment to work in. So you really need to have a system, and then you need a tool like TMA in order to make sure that you're staffing that system correctly.
Okay. How many people have you interviewed with this? Wow! My first computer! Nothing is better. Classic! And inside the Macintosh you have the signatures of Steve Jobs and the developers, and the return of Steve Jobs. About 30 or 50?
Yeah, about 35.
35 people. And did it take a lot of time?
It takes time if, what I realized in doing this actually, is it takes time if you want to do a good job at it. Because really what you're talking about is it's a tool, but it's about developing talent. And to develop talent requires you to actually care about it, put your time in, to put the thought in, to work with the people, to talk with the people. So the time is, what you get, what you put in is what you get out.
Thank you, Mike. I'm here.